Majors was born on May 11, 2001 in Charlottesville, a city in Virginia, United States with a population of nearly 50,000 residents. Known affectionately as Taz, she was the eldest daughter of Christy and Inman Majors. Those who knew the family described her upbringing as filled with love, care, and unwavering support from her parents in all her endeavors. Taz was known for her outgoing and vibrant personality. She was fun-loving, made friends easily, and always seemed to bring joy to those around her. In 2019, she graduated from St. Anne's Belfield School and soon after began her studies at Barnard College, a prestigious private all-women's school in Manhattan, New York. Balancing her academics with her passions, Taz played bass in a band called Patient Zero, which she had formed with friends. Around the time of the tragic events that would cut her life short, the band had just released an album and was actively performing in Charlottesville. Beyond music, she was deeply involved in other activities. She had led a literature club during high school and volunteered for political campaigns as well as at animal shelters. One of Taz's biggest aspirations was to become a journalist. After interning at a local newspaper, she fell in love with the fast-paced, engaging world of reporting. Encouraged by her father, who was a literature teacher and the author of 6 books, she pursued this dream wholeheartedly, believing that one day she would make a significant impact in the field. Everything seemed to be aligning perfectly for Taz as she worked toward her goals. However, a tragic event would alter the course of her promising future forever. On December 11, 2019, at approximately 7 p.m., Taz was making her way back to Barnard College. Her route took her through Morningside Park, a location that, at that time of the evening, was typically quiet with few people around. As she descended the steps leading into the park, she was suddenly confronted by 3 individuals intent on robbing her. One of them grabbed her from behind in an attempt to immobilize her, while the other 2 began snatching her belongings. The assailants had assumed, based on her petite frame, that she would be an easy target. However, Taz fought back fiercely, determined not to let them take what was hers. Her resistance angered one of the attackers, who was armed with a knife. In a brutal response, he stabbed her multiple times in the chest and abdomen. As Taz collapsed, the perpetrators took the opportunity to steal her belongings before fleeing the scene. Despite her severe injuries, Taz managed to crawl down the steps and stagger toward a nearby street corner, where she was discovered by a security guard. With what little strength she had left, she described her attackers to him before succumbing to the pain. The guard immediately called emergency services, and within minutes, both paramedics and police officers arrived. Taz was rushed to Mount Sinai Morningside Hospital, where doctors fought to save her life. Sadly, despite their efforts, she succumbed to her injuries shortly after arriving. The medical examiner determined the cause of death to be massive hemorrhaging due to stab wounds, one of which had fatally pierced her heart. Prior to the attack on Taz, police had already documented a rise in thefts occurring within Morningside Park. The perpetrators were often described as young boys, estimated to be between the ages of 12 and 14. Despite this, authorities had not taken significant steps to warn the public, an oversight that tragically may have contributed to Taz's fate. If she had known about the danger, she might have chosen a different path home that evening and still been alive today. The devastating news of her murder left her parents in unbearable grief. The tragedy also sent waves of fear and sadness throughout Barnard College, as students struggled to process the shocking loss of their friend and classmate. As part of their investigation, the police conducted a thorough search of the crime scene. A knife was recovered, which was later confirmed to be the murder weapon. Surveillance footage from nearby security cameras, along with eyewitness accounts, helped authorities track down one of the suspects. The first arrest was made quickly. 13-year-old Zaire Davis, a boy already notorious in his neighborhood for engaging in criminal activities. When police searched his home, they found clothing that matched the description Taz had given to the security guard before she died. Further evidence linked him to another recent robbery, where he had been captured on surveillance cameras wearing the same outfit he had worn during the attack on Taz. With Zaire in custody, investigators pressed him for information. Under pressure, he revealed the identities of his 2 accomplices, 14-year-olds Luciano Lewis and Rashawn Weaver. Luciano was arrested the very next day, while Rashawn, having gone into hiding, remained at large for 2 weeks. Ultimately, an anonymous tip led police to his location at a relative's house, where he was promptly taken into custody. Once arrested, Zaire cooperated with investigators, providing a detailed account of what had transpired that night. He confessed that he, Rashawn, and Luciano had entered the park specifically looking for someone to rob. When they spotted Taz walking alone, they assumed she would be an easy target. They waited for her to pass them before launching their attack. Rashawn was the first to approach her, delivering a forceful kick to her back in an attempt to knock her down. However, Taz remained on her feet and fought back. As she struggled against Rashawn, the other two joined in, attempting to subdue her while also trying to take her belongings. Their primary objective was her iPhone, but she refused to let it go. At one point, she even managed to bite Rashawn's hand in self-defense, infuriating him. Enraged, he pulled out a knife and stabbed her repeatedly before she finally collapsed. Although Zaire had confessed, Rashawn and Luciano initially pleaded not guilty. However, with mounting evidence, including DNA found under Taz's fingernails and a recorded phone call in which Rashawn admitted to the crime, he ultimately accepted a plea deal. On January 19, 2022, over 2 years after the murder, Rashawn Weaver was sentenced to life in prison. Zaire Davis, having cooperated with police and with consideration given to his young age and lack of prior convictions, received a relatively lenient sentence, just 18 months in prison. Taz's parents were outraged by what they saw as an unjustly light punishment for someone who had played a direct role in their daughter's death. Luciano Lewis, the last of the three to be tried, also pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 12 years in prison in October 2021. Reports indicate that within his first month of incarceration, he was already involved in violent altercations and was caught making homemade weapons, potentially extending his sentence further. Following Taz's murder, Morningside Park underwent significant security enhancements. A 24-hour security booth was installed, lighting was improved, and patrol hours were extended to better protect students and residents. The New York City Council also allocated funds to add more surveillance cameras throughout the park to assist in crime prevention. Despite these changes, crime in the area persisted. In December 2021, a similar attack claimed the life of Italian student Davide Ghiri, who was fatally stabbed by an ex-convict while walking through the park. The crime, eerily reminiscent of Taz's murder, reignited concerns about safety in the city's public spaces. Tessa Majors was laid to rest in a private ceremony in Charlottesville, attended by family, friends, and classmates. In Morningside Park, the staircase where she was attacked became a memorial site where people continue to leave flowers and prayers in her honor. Her story, though tragic, serves as a reminder of the dangers that persist in even the most unexpected places and the importance of vigilance in ensuring public safety. Please subscribe our channel